when he
Let's
can.
talk about what you're in.
All right. So if everybody could just do me a solid, let's get those lines muted just so we can have a bit of a conversation here without hearing dogs and kids and real estate business on in the background. We are here with Skyleigh. So Skyleigh McCallum out of, I always say Kelowna, but Kamloops. I don't know why I always messed that up. I've been messing up for 2 years. So Skyleigh is actually probably, if anybody has a chance to hang out with Skyleigh or visit her neck of the woods, probably one of the most fun people that Jason and I have ever spent time with. So we got to know you really well in the summertime when we hosted our very first road show. And then we got to hang out in Whistler over the winter as well. So definitely had some adventures, some laughs. So Skyleigh, tell us a little bit about your team and tell us a little bit about you.
Oh my gosh. I feel a little bit of imposter syndrome. So I'm like, I feel like I haven't done a guest on your.
So it does look like we did speak with him on May the 4th.
One? Yeah.
There
Okay. I just was saying I feel a bit of imposter syndrome. I'm like, I don't even feel like special enough to be here. But when I look back at everything and I'm like, wow, actually we've come like a really far way. So I guess I started my 6-year anniversary for real estate will be tomorrow. So that's actually really cool. And I kind of sleptwalk into the industry. I didn't know that this is what I wanted to do. I didn't know that I was like entrepreneurial. I didn't know I was like business minded or anything like that. I actually was going to school to be a psychologist, and my partner and I, we've been together for 13 years this year. And so he wanted to have a baby for a very long time. And I kept saying no, because I wanted to be like established before we had a baby. And we bought our first house. And then all of a sudden we were like, nope, we're going to have this baby. And then I was like, what do? I want to be able to run my own life. I want to be able to take care of my kids. I want to be able to have no ceiling for my income. I wanted all these things. And so what ended up happening is that I was a server at this local pub, and there was this regular that was a mortgage broker. And so I interviewed him because he said something. He was there all the damn time. I was like, what do you do for work where you have this kind of flexibility in your schedule? And so he was telling me about being a mortgage broker and all that stuff. And I ended up taking him out for coffee and kind of building a relationship with him. And he was like, honestly, I think you'd actually be a better realtor. And so I reached out to the realtor that helped us buy our house, and she was kind of telling me about it. And then 2 months later, I say 2 months because that's how long it took me to do the course, but I guess it was like 3 months by the time that my license actually came in. So I woke up 3 months later with a real estate license because I feel like I'm just like a doer. So that's kind of how I got into real estate, was because I just was panicking, not knowing what to do after we had our baby, and then I wanted all the ability.
So now you've got a young family, right?
Yep.
Brand new in the industry. So talk us through that first year in real estate. What did it look like from, your level of proactivity? What were some of the things that were missing? What did you learn from that first year?
So, first set of advice, I literally would do this all over again. 100%. I always tell people who are getting into the industry to go onto a team, or find a mentor. Like, you should find someone that you bond with when you team. Like, you want to obviously be able to grow on that team and stay with them for a very long time. You obviously need your values to line up if you're going to do that. If you aren't wanting to go onto a team, definitely find yourself a mentor so that you can learn everything. For myself, I started on a team. Unfortunately, our values didn't really line up. But I did learn absolutely everything that I know from him. Obviously, I picked up stuff since I left that team, but the team was absolutely huge. And I woke up every single day and prospected my ass off. Like, that is literally what I did every single day. We had a database of leads, and I was just making call after call after call after call after call and building relationships with people. In my first year, I sold 40 houses.
Wow.
Actually, 9. I rounded it up to 40. Maybe I shouldn't lie to you guys. It was 39, and I remember being so pissed off. I was like, I was almost there. But I did 40, but I think it was just the consistency of making your calls every single day, building relationships with people, and like literally being a sponge and just like absorbing everything from everybody.
So 40, like, I'm going to call it 40. Like, I'm going to call it 40. I'm sorry.
Thank you. I'm calling it 42.
All right. Let's agree that it's 40. So
It's
40 in your first year, that is a major like milestone, a major achievement. So, and that was after your first year. So other than just getting on the phone, what else were you doing to get your name out there and tell people that you were open for business?
I am a chatty Kathy, to be honest. So I think that I just talked to literally everyone. And then anytime I ran into anyone again, like I would start talking about real estate. You're like super excited, you're jazzed up, you're in this industry that has like so many benefits. I just love real estate and I'm super creative and I really like just building something massive. And so it just kind of came up in conversation all the time. And if it wasn't coming up in conversation, I would kind of make it come up in conversation, how I'd be like, what do you do for work? And then they usually reciprocate with the same question. And then it would just kind of fold from there because everybody's interested in real estate.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's amazing, right? So that's your first year. Now, what about your second year? How did you follow that up?
My second year, I think that I was pretty close to around the same. I don't remember it being anything. My goal was 50 and I know I didn't hit it, but I think I was around the same ballpark, which was still okay. Yeah, I mean, I just kept plugging away, doing the same thing that I was doing before. I started working off of, more referrals came in than from the website, which was really nice. And then on my third year, I actually worked mostly from referrals, which was really, so I think the third year
transition
made the conversion from lots of leads and phone calls into like a referral network, which was really
cool. So let's talk a little bit about what you've got going on now. So talk to us through your team structure, the way you've got it set up.
So, again, just talking about real estate all the time and like being a mompreneur, like that, a lot of times people would just reach out to me and ask me about real estate and that they wanted to get into real estate. And so I had grown relationships with people who were wanting to get into the industry. And I had a handful, this was before I had my own real estate group. People would reach out to me. And so they ended up going on to other teams because I kept encouraging them to get their licenses. And then I was like, man, like if they're coming on because of me, like I should really create my own team because like what's the word? Like if you build it, they will come. So I was like, they're coming anyway. Right. And so it ended up being that the first person that I brought on, is still with me today. So she's been with me for about 2.5 years now. And so she's, again, same thing, mom. Her husband was working away. She wanted to make more income so that he could stay in town. And so like, I just helped her build that. And so from there, we've kind of like kept doubling in size because as we get busier, we needed more resources and more people to like hold everything up. So ended up being that Jill was my first, she's a buyer's agent, I guess. And so she was my first recruit onto the team. And then from there, I ended up taking over another agent's business. And then she became our assistant. And so now we have an assistant that also has her license, but I've kind of taken over all of her stuff. And then now we have a few ISAs on the team. And then I think we have like 5 or 6 people in the licensing program coming on as well. Wow. So this next year is going to be a big year.
So, yeah. I think that you've done something really well that a lot of people try their best to harness, and it's passive income lines. So you've got a lot going on. So you made the switch, you're over at EXP. So you've sort of built that rev share line. Talk to us about some of the other revenue lines that you've actually created for yourself, because there's some interesting ones in there.
Yeah. I like to work efficiently. I like to work smarter, not harder. So there's a lot of things that I have going on, and people always ask me like, how the hell do you juggle all these things? And the thing is that once you set it up, you can leave it and then walk away, and they kind of just like do their own little thing. So I guess a couple different ways that we have income. Number one, I guess the team, right? So the team, while I'm working on the team, obviously I can grow other people and duplicate them to be me. And then they obviously make income, which helps the team stand up, because I'm going to have the the team anyway, right? We're going to have an assistant, we're going to have ISAs, we're going to have all that stuff anyway. So if you can have team members on the team that are helping fund all that, obviously that's one way to have extra income. We have rental properties. So we did, I guess, the BRRRR method. If you guys have never heard of this before, I didn't know that this is what it was called, but we bought, you buy, renovate, refinance, rent. So like we did that a few times. So we have 3 properties now, and they all kind of are self-sustainable. We barely even pay a mortgage at our current house, which is really nice. So most of the money that we make kind of goes back into the business in order to help that grow. What else do we have? WFG, which is World Financial Group. That one, I got approached by a broker out of Calgary. He was introduced to me by my cousin, and so we hit it off. Similar thing happened with Jason and I, where we like just instantly clicked, and I was like, this is such a great business opportunity. So WFG is actually World Financial Group. I saw there's a little question there. So World Financial Group is a financial company. So I ended up getting my license for financial advising probably about 2.5 years ago. And I just thought it was a really good way to add value to the clients that we already have. And so that's kind of one of my main pillars of our business, is that I always want to add extra value to like our clients. And so when World Financial Group kind of fell onto my plate, I kind of grabbed it by the horn like this. Sorry, I'm screening a call. 1 second.
Beauty of Zoom.
Oh, it like clicked me out for a second. I'm back though, right?
That's okay. You're back.
So yeah, I grabbed World Financial Group by the horns. It's a really cool company because it's a broker model, which is this, I mean, we all know, even in being in the real estate industry, broker models are king. So with World Financial Group, I grabbed my license for that. And in order for it to really work, you have to have your license for it. But I just refer everything out for that business now, because I don't necessarily have the time or energy to actually help those clients and make sure that they're well taken care of. Because again, you always want to make sure that everyone's well taken care of, that they have the value that they need, right? So I actually just built a team for World Financial Group, and then I refer all the business out for that. So really cool is that that's like another double dip. Everybody who buys houses with real estate needs a financial service system. And so with that, we can help them set up their insurance because we have affiliates for that. We can help set them up with life insurance. There's a couple different types of life insurance depending on what the client needs. But with that, like you can help them protect their mortgages, right? So if you have a young family and they're getting into their first home, they don't even know that this exists. And if one of them passes away, you want them to be able to keep their house. And so we offer that as well. We also offer setting up savings accounts so that they can save up for their down payments. And then obviously they'll buy their houses with us after that. And we can also set them up for like retirement savings once they get their homes and all that kind of stuff. So that's another one. I think that might be it.
Perfect. Hey, I think that's more than most people have. So I love the fact that you found that niche with World Financial Group. I think that that's absolutely amazing, right? Not only are because you're having those conversations anyway, but you're taking it a step further by having a solution. And again, really what it's done is it's put that invisible fence around your clients. And so how do you think having those solutions has impacted, say, like the culture on the team? Or again, how have having those solutions put that invisible fence and created a good referral network?
Yeah, I mean, again, just going back to adding value to people, I think that's one thing, a big hole in a lot of people's businesses is that they are very transactional. And for us, I want to just build relationships with people and do a really good job for them so that we do earn that referral network from them. And number one, handing over keys, yeah, it's great. But I always kind of felt like there was a little bit of like something more that I could be doing for people. And World Financial Group definitely kind of filled that hole a little bit, just like helping them protect their families and stuff. I was like, there's got to be something else. And so there's a lot of stories around. I mean, shit happens. You never know what's going to happen. People get sick all the time. People lose their jobs all the time. anyways, and so just adding that little extra value and knowing that they're fully taken care of, that if something does happen, that they're able to keep their home, it feels really good. But on top of that, we've added extra value to people and people really appreciate that. And again, it's a broker model. So it's not what I think that they need, it's what they think that they need. And then we're just facilitating them actually obtaining that.
Skyleigh, I got a question for you. A little pivot from where we're at, but
yeah.
At what point in your real estate business and production did you decide, hey, I need to hire an assistant? At what stage were you at, and what was kind of what led you to that decision?
I felt like I needed an assistant for a very long time, but it came to a point where I realized that I was trading. There's only so many hours in a day. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen, it's called, I'm really bad at knowing the names of things. There's like this 4-quadrant business model. And so in this 4-quadrant business model, there's like self-employed, there's an employee, self-employed, and then there's business, and then investor. Okay. And all your passive income is on the right-hand side, which was the business mindset and the investor. And so with a lot of real estate, you're stuck in this self-employed like section, because if you go away, then all of your money goes away. And I'm like, I want to take a freaking vacation and money still be rolling in. So how do I get from this self-employed quadrant all the way up to this business entrepreneur quadrant? And something that kind of really dawned on me too is that in this left side of the quadrants, you're trading time value for money. You're always trading time value for money. And there's only 24 hours in a day. And so I was spending a lot of my time on paperwork. To answer your question, I was spending a lot of my time on social media marketing. I was spending a lot of my time on building business and like all that kind of stuff, which was trading time for money. And again, there's only so many hours in there. So in order to leverage your time more efficiently and putting my time into where I made the most money, which was prospecting and building relationships with clients, I had to delegate out into the business quadrant and hire an assistant. So I think that's probably where like it really got me, is that I was staying up until like midnight every night doing my paperwork, waking up in the morning and prospecting, and then doing paperwork at night and being exhausted. And I'm like, literally, I'm not helping anyone at this point. And so it was a jump, but I encourage people to do it. They should do it sooner rather than later. Don't wait until you're drowning.
Right.
Right. And then not only that, when you delegate it out, then you have more time for the things that actually earn you income, which you and I remember us talking about this because it's scary. It is really scary. But at the end of the day, it pretty much pays itself off, because now you have more time to do the things that actually are making you income. And I have more free time now than I did before, which is crazy because my income is like 10x what it was when I first started. And I had significantly less time over there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's huge, really important, right? Skyleigh, what's one thing, if you could go back in time and you could coach yourself, what's one thing that you would be like, you know what, girl, this is something you need to do differently because you know better now?
Oh my God, that's hard. That is really hard. I feel like probably delegating things out sooner, because I have all the cliche sayings. I burned the candle at both ends for far too long. And my hormones don't like me for it. You know this. I have like burnout cortisol levels because I went and got my hormones tested. And honestly, getting that assistant earlier would have saved me a lot of headache, because I'm just like go all the time. And I should have delegated a long time ago.
I love it.
Yeah.
So Skyleigh, you've done something really interesting. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you in as a guest. I got the pleasure of hanging out with you for a few weeks. You've started to create a mastermind group.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that one thing that's really insanely interesting is it's not just real estate agents.
Yeah.
It's business professionals in your community. Can you talk to us a little bit about your mastermind group? And I guarantee, again, anybody on this call, if you've ever thought about hosting a mastermind, creating a mastermind, Skyleigh did it. And again, I've had the pleasure of hanging out with you guys a few times. Talk us through how you set it up and talk us through about what the end game is for it.
Okay, well, we can thank Jason for this because he was the one who was like, this is what I want you to do. And I just got like really jazzed up about it and was like 100% like, this is such a great idea. Because I was kind of like running in circles trying to get people to like work with us, right? And I was like, I literally kept not winning. And so he's like, just create this mastermind group and have it's completely free, right? It's just us collaborating, building off of each other. And again, you build it, they will come, and they are coming, as crazy as that is. So he told me to create this mastermind and I did. So I just reached out to people who've been asking me for help anyway. So I was like, hey, we've done business together. Like, do you want to come onto this mastermind group that I'm creating? It's just all about us collaborating and working together and learning off of other people's, not necessarily mistakes, but off of each other's journeys, right? Like there's so much to learn and every transaction is different. And everyone just kept saying yes. And so I started having special guests, which was again, like mortgage brokers and people in affiliated industries. And then from that, I was like, why don't they just come hang out with us anyway? Because a lot of stuff we talk about is business planning. And a lot of the business planning is duplicatable onto other industries. And so number one, I thought that was really cool. And I also, there's a lot of people in other industries that are super awesome. Like there's a number of mortgage brokers that I really enjoy working with. There's interior designers I like working with. There's social media marketers, like you name it, right? Like, and there's value from everything that they have that you can use within your own business. So I was like, we might as well just bring them on. So that's kind of how that happened. The other thing that I thought about too is that there's a lot of like business, what are those things called where
networking groups?
Go for dinner?
Networking groups?
Yes. Okay. So there's all these networking groups, but then you only are allowed one from each industry in there. And then you also there's some rules too, where you can only refer to the people within that group. And yes, the BNI.
Yeah.
And I just felt like they had too many rules, and that why should it only be one person from each industry? Why can't we all build off each other? Why can't we all build relationships? And like, why can't we all make each other build better for the industry? That's like the end goal, isn't it? To have a better industry for the consumer. I'm so tired of hearing that people don't trust our industry. But if we all just shared the information that we have and tried building each other up instead of hiding things that could actually make each other better, then the industry would be better as a whole.
Love that. Love that. This is one of the reasons why, like when we first met, we clicked when it came to business, right? That's because we both had that collaborative mindset and really believed in that. And it's really cool to see you like be a leader in that and really take that bull by the horns and create that in your marketplace. And you're attracting some really neat people, it seems like, too.
Yeah. The people in our group are really cool. And I mean, if we get referrals from that, then great. But I mean, at the end of the day, that's not necessarily the point. But the more value that you end up bringing to people, it just ends up coming back to live with kind of an abundance mindset. There's no point in being scared that there's enough business to go around, because there's more than enough to go around.
You know what's interesting? Joe and I were having a little road trip with our older kids on the weekend, and one of the things I talked about is your personal brand. What kind of personal brand do you have? And I think for you, if you think about it, like the personal brand you're building is somebody who's open, somebody who's collaborative, somebody that's like looking to bring value to other people and doesn't have any hidden agenda with it. You know, I think that's really cool that you're building that. And it will come back to you in spades. I promise you. It's like the best way if anybody wants to build abundance and create wealth or relationships, be collaborative, be open like you're being. So you're doing the right thing. It's a good personal brand.
I like it. Go ahead.
No, please go ahead.
It's come back so many times. I think that's the thing, is like I mean, it's kind of, I can imagine it being scary for people being like, oh, I don't want to give up all my secrets and blah, 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 because like, but they haven't had it come back to them yet. But I've had it come back so many times that I'm just like not scared anymore to give things up. So for example, I remember when I first started, actually, you know, this even happened to me in the serving industry. You give away a good table because like, you're just trying to be nice because the other person's struggling. And then all of a sudden you get a kick-ass table come in and they tip you better than the other one did. Or like, for example, when I first started with the team that I was on, you have a round robin lead generation site. And so husband and wife would sign up, they would sign up on separate pages and they'd be like, oh, I have the husband, you have the wife, blah, blah. I'm like, you know what, just take it. It's not a big deal. And then all of a sudden I would get a gravy lead come in next. Like it just happens. It just happens. I believe that the universe provides. Everything that I have ever manifested or put out into the universe has happened. My mom always makes a joke that what Skyleigh wants, Skyleigh gets. And it's absolutely ridiculous, but it tends to work out in my favor. And I think it's just because you just give it all away and things come back. It happened to Tony Robbins too.
It's the go-giver philosophy. Talked about that many, many times, and you just naturally exude that. It's not something you think about. It's something that you just are and is a go-giver. And it's why you've attracted a lot of success and quality relationships and people around you. You have an infectious energy. It's a compliment, big compliment.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So knowing where the Mastermind Group is now, where do you see it going?
Oh, I'm excited. I think it's going to get really big because everybody who is on our mastermind group talks about how much value there is and that it's just what they needed and that they can't believe that there's nothing else like this in town right now. And I imagine them talking to their peers about it and that we're just going to get more people coming on. And I mean, this is what I was waiting for. Like I was fishing and like nothing was really happening and I just kept trying. Right. And I think that's another thing that you guys just don't give up. Like I feel I have conversations with some people on our team and they're like, oh, well, I'm trying and I'm trying and I'm trying. And I'm like, just keep trying because no matter how many no's you get, eventually you're going to get that yes that you've been looking for. And so this mastermind group is definitely the yes that I've been waiting for because I've been fishing and fishing and fishing and I just hadn't caught anything yet. And I was like, I have all this value that I want to bring and I want to help so many people and like nothing was happening. And so, yeah, I just asked a few people to come on and now all this value is happening. And then now people are talking about it with their other peers who are also kind of starting. And yeah, it's just, I think it's going to get really big and I'm excited for that to happen because the more people there are, the more value that they're going to bring. Because again, they're allowed talking in the collaborative mastermind as well. So can you guys hear that vibrating? Can you hear that?
Yeah,
I
I
didn't.
heard something. It's like a
I
motorcycle.
heard something. I didn't think it was vibrating. So, anyways.
Oh, shut up. Okay, it's we're renovating this house, so we bought like I call it a flip house, even though we decided to stay. But the plumber is here right now, and he's being really fucking loud. So just ignore that.
All good. All good.
Okay.
Why don't we open it up to? Why don't we open it up to the chat? You know, like you guys have a badass entrepreneur here. Skyleigh's done some really big things. I'd love to hear some questions that people have. You know, post them in the chat as we're going here.
And as we're waiting on some questions, Skyleigh, for anybody who's looking at starting a mastermind group or starting something local, what's step one?
Okay, well, first thing that I did was that I made sure that I could delegate out the stuff that I couldn't take on because I mean, obviously there's a lot to it. So we're recording all the sessions. They're going to be posted on YouTube. There's lots and lots of stuff going on. And so I talked to the girl on the team that deals with all of our marketing. And I was like, hey, this is what I'm wanting to do. Like, this is what it looks like. When do you think we can implement this? And she, like, we planned it out together because I didn't want to like say, hey, I'm creating a mastermind. And then everybody come onto our group and nothing happened. So I made sure that was kind of all in place first. And then I just started asking people. I just started texting people who I knew in the industry that were maybe 10 deals ish or less a year or just getting into the industry. And yeah, like that's kind of how it started. People said yes. I created the Facebook group and added them onto it, and that's how it started.
Okay, we got some questions in the chat. They're coming in fierce. You ready for these?
Oh my God. Yeah.
All right.
And like
Any
splash round.
any lead gen recommendations?
Okay, so the lead generation program that I use that has been like the biggest impact on our business and has given us the most leads and income is definitely like we got a website right now because we're at EXP. We use Make It Rain, which works really, really well. If you're not with EXP, or if you don't want to use Make It Rain, there's other programs that you can use as well. You can do like pay-per-click campaigns through Google Ads. There's lots of stuff like that, but definitely I think the number one way to generate leads, and I wouldn't call them cold leads either. I'd call them warm because they're obviously coming onto the website looking for something to do with real estate, is definitely do like Google Ads or a program that captures the lead, gets their name, phone number, email, and just call as a courtesy to see if you can set them up on a search. And then we just nurture the leads from there. It is a bit of a long haul game. So definitely don't sign up thinking, hey, I'm going to end up making 30K in my first month. Like that's not how it works. Like if you're going to be signing up for something like that, make sure you dedicate like a year of your life to actually working those leads and having them come out from one side of the pipeline to the other.
Love it. Somebody said lead gen help if you're doing it solo versus a team. So obviously you started as a solo agent on a team, correct?
Yes. Yep.
And then evolved to being a solo agent on your own to
Yep.
then building out your team now, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Awesome. And then Kevin asks, are you finding online lead generation becoming more expensive and more difficult to convert?
I mean, it is a little bit expensive, but at the end of the day, when we convert one over, like it just pays for itself. So I don't like, it kind of seems like it's expensive when you're paying for it, but then as soon as the leads start getting converted, you only need to sell like a few houses to pay for a whole year's worth of lead generation. So I always kind of tie it back to that. And I'm like, I just need to sell one freaking house in order to generate myself enough income to pay for this part of my marketing plan. So anytime that you're thinking something might be expensive, just think about how many houses, like if you sell one house, how much of that marketing plan can you pay for essentially? So
well, it's so good for us that we spend like a healthy 6 figures on lead generation every year. So just to give you a perspective, it's a great tool, especially if you work it. And, you know, again, Skyleigh could always work it harder because we talk about that. But when she does with her personality, she converts at a very high level because she just has that energy and that enthusiasm, which is critical if you're going to do phone prospecting. Let's see, what types of content and things were you doing in the beginning of your mastermind to deliver the value at a high level to people in different industries to keep people wanting to come back? So what were some of the early topics?
The very first ones that we did, I actually struggled with that. So that's a good question. So I was like, oh, like, what should we talk about first? Because you wanted to be able to build off of it. The first thing that we did was business planning. And I thought that that was really great because once we did a business planning session, and then we did a like health check. And this is actually from Jason. So if you guys go on to Kajabi, he has a breakdown of like what a business planning session looks like, a SWOT analysis looks like. And then you can actually measure where you're at within your business. So like, do you have a buyer's process? Do you have a seller's process? Do you have a social media process? All that stuff. And then from them scoring themselves on their processes, we are able to kind of create content so that they can actually get themselves from like a C+ rating to an A rating. So I thought that that was like a really good place to start. So yeah. And then not only that, again, the business planning, we always just talk about it in an open way that like it can work for an affiliated industry as well. So it might not be like a direct, it might not be direct, but I mean, it has a correlation, right? Like people can easily flip it to be whatever industry they're in.
Love that. And then I think you've had like mortgage brokers on discussing about like what's going on in the market, you know, variable versus fixed. there's a million topics that you guys can come up with. If you just even ask questions to your audience, like, hey, if you were to look for information, what would be things that would be valuable and helpful in your mastermind? And you'll get topic ideas. So
Yeah.
cool.
I think we're talking in the mastermind groups. There's things that people will ask a question about. And I'm like, ooh, that's a long topic. Why don't we like actually write that down? And then we will talk about it in like an extensive way on another session.
Love that. Marketing is universal for many industries too, talking about different digital marketing strategies, bringing in digital marketing experts. I mean, there's a million things you can do. Jamie from our team, Jamie, my man, back from Disneyland, it seems like, or maybe he's in Disneyland messaging us. Love hearing your philosophy behind lead gen, putting in the work and realizing it's a long game, preaching to the choir, but it's nice to hear it from someone like you. Amazing skill set. So there you go. Nice compliment from the man himself, Jamie Wicks, world's greatest ISA.
Jamie's things too. So yes, go listen to Jamie. He is so great as well. And I think something that Jamie does really well too is that again, when people sign up to the website, you need to talk to them and build relationships with them. Don't just be like transactional and trying to set them up on a search, because they know when you call them and that's all that you want from them, they know that. So just call them and build relationships with them. Honestly, there's people who say that they're just looking for a rental, and I still talk to them after the fact, right? Like, don't just wipe them away and be like, oh, well, they're not worth our time because they're not going to be buying anytime soon. Build relationships with those people, check in on them, because you never know, a referral could come your way. Maybe they're only going to rent for a year, right? Like, you just don't know. So relationship building, I think, is huge.
Love that. Skyleigh, you're the bomb. Seriously. I've always thought so highly of you from the moment we met, and like, it's been a pleasure working with you and just watching you just like grow as an entrepreneur and the amazing things that you're building. And I'm just like, I can't wait to see what you do 12 months, 5 years from now. This is somebody you guys want to follow on Instagram, stay in contact. If you have referrals, Skyleigh, what's the market that you and your team serve?
We are in the Kamloops and District Real Estate Association board. Well, actually, I guess we amalgamated with Interior Board of Realtors now, but Kamloops and District is typically where we are. And then our team is called Forever Kamloops Real Estate Group. So you can find us on Instagram and Facebook. And then my Instagram handle is just being Skyleigh with 2 H's at the end. So yeah.
Love that.
And then also, if anybody has questions around like World Financial Group and some of the other solutions that you've actually created and implemented to help your clients out, are they okay to reach out to you through, again, like Facebook Messenger, Instagram Messenger?
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, World Financial Group has been a good supplement to my income. I mean, even if 50% of the people in our like closed sales for the year, that's like, we always say it's about $1,000 for every client. So, I mean, if you sell 40 houses and only 20 of them actually get life insurance and get coverage for their mortgages, that's still an extra 20 grand in your pocket. And I'd literally just refer it out. So if anyone wants to learn about that, for sure.
Awesome. Love that. Joe, Skyleigh, I hope you guys have an amazing day. Everybody that jumped on our mastermind, such a pleasure. Skyleigh, you're a rock star.
I appreciate that so much, you guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.